there are going to be some things that I talk about with you where we're going to be in total agreement. But I'm going to start with something where I know we are totally in disagreement, and that is Bad Bunny. So I got up this morning and I watched it all without reading anything about it. I just thought, I want to watch this completely clean without anyone's view contaminating my brain cells. And I watched all 15 minutes of it. And I've watched every halftime show going back 30, 40 years. I thought as a piece of theatre, it was the best I've seen. Just the most extraordinary kind of Broadway on steroids piece of theatre. I also thought it wasn't remotely divisive politically in the end. His Grammys speech was, but his performance, I thought, was actually a lot of things which I would have thought people on the conservative right would applaud. It was about love. A couple actually got married for real in the middle of it. He was preaching about unity, not just the United States of America, but the wider Americas. What was the problem, Megyn?
So I think the thing that he is trying to set up, and by the way, I like doing that same experiment. I don't want to have other people's ideas. I don't want to read about things before a movie review, for instance, before I see a movie. I want to come into it cold and have my own experiences and my own assessment without being infected by another person's thinking. So I appreciate that he wanted to do it in that manner. However, I'd have to say that one of the difficulties, maybe the single largest difficulty is that most people in America, the United States of America, are not fluent in Spanish, or at least fluent enough that they can really understand the content of the lyrics that were being sung.
The NFL picked Bad Bunny for one reason. It's because the NFL is trying to expand around the world, and they've had a 60-year relationship with Univision. They have a game this year in Paris for the first time. They are trying to expand across the globe. When you pick, obviously, a predominantly Hispanic performer, you're opening up a huge demographic.
Okay, let's get back to the debate.
All right.
No, it wasn't about what he was actually going to do during the middle of the Super Bowl performance. It's about him. It's about him being chosen as the Super Bowl performer, somebody who's been an outspoken critic, of course, of the Trump administration and of America and our anti-immigrant policies. This is long before the current controversy over ICE. He doesn't want illegals deported from this country. Well, too bad, because the majority of Americans do want that and are not shy about pushing for it. And that's why President Trump got elected. So he and his little buddies over at Green Day never miss a chance to bash the United States of America. He got selected because Jay-Z, for some reason, has got the choice over who performs at our Super Bowl, who's another problem. Don't even get me started on his friendship with Jeffrey Epstein.
Well, what do we know about Jay-Z's incentive structure behind, if he really is somehow the NFL's chosen person to select the performers? What do we know about his relationship with Bad Bunny?
Well, I think his company's, it might be called Rock Nation or Rock something. Anyway, he is the manager of Bad Bunny. And of course, as I was saying, I would not be surprised if for every dollar Bad Bunny's making right now as a performer, and both in royalties and residuals and streaming, I wouldn't be surprised if Jay-Z's making $2 for every. He's managing them. Was presumably a young kid from
whatever the breakdown. You're saying that there's an economic incentive for Jay-Z to have a Bunny on this show, Bad Bunny on the show, so that
he picked him. Yeah, he picked him for self-serving reasons to lie. I mean, how much more money does Jay-Z need? He's a billionaire. Happy to say.
But I think Megyn raises a good argument. I mean, this is a point that's it's not a subtle point. She's not subtle at all in this debate. But American football, right? The NFL, the Super Bowl is kind of a holiday. It's kind of an American holiday, and so it should in some way represent American values.
Sure.
I think this is what her point is.
Sure.
And so it's true that Bad Bunny has recently, maybe historically, I don't know enough about him to know his pedigree with respect to his anti-Americanism as Megyn Kelly talked about, but let's just assume that she's basically right and that he has an anti-American posture in his political belief, his political philosophy.
His Grammy speech was certainly.
He grew up in the United States, although it was Puerto Rico, and so one thing that I think that Megyn Kelly is trying to articulate is, hey, look, this is a time to celebrate America, not to choose people who are critical of America. And there is some validity in having a performance by somebody that people generally think is positive towards the country. And by the way, whatever Bad Bunny's real political belief is, I've not read anything about this, so I don't know. But let's just assuming she's right. He should have a great deal of gratitude for America. And so this is something that I think is lost with a lot of people. He grew up poor. I had read that. His father was a truck driver in Puerto Rico. And so here's a person without any means, without political connections, without education and so forth. He's able to, in this very large, wealthy country, amass a great fortune and a great viewership. People like him. People enjoy his music. And he was able to do that because of the framework of the United States, because of the values of this country. He was able to leverage the qualities of the United States that make the United States great and allow people to succeed, allow equal equality of opportunity to unfold. He did that, and he was somehow now against America. That would be an inconsistency.
Look at his position politically. It's both sad and unfortunate. Think how much his stock would go up if this is all about chasing the almighty dollar, which the music industry, many industries, most industries seem to be all about. How hard is it to be gracious and to be thankful for a minute? This people, that resonates with people.
For sure. All right, let's get back.
Right.
He choosing who's appropriate for American children to watch during our seminal sporting event. And I'm sorry, Piers, but to get up there and perform the whole show in Spanish is a middle finger to the rest of America. Who gives a damn that we have 40 million Spanish speakers in the United States? We have 310 million who don't speak a lick of Spanish. This is supposed to be a unifying event for the country, not for the Latinos, not for one small group, but for the country. We don't need a black national anthem. We don't need a Spanish-speaking, non-English performer, and we don't need an ICE or America hater featured as our primetime entertainment.
Okay, what is the national language officially?
Here comes the smug Morgan.
United States of America.
I mean, English, and there's been a push for many years to make it an official.
You don't have one.
Documented thing.
You don't have one.
If you would have let me finish my comment, I would have pointed that out. That people have been pushing to make it official.
Okay, right, so you're trying to make official.
He's right, though. Piers Morgan is right. The United States does not have an official language. It's one of 2 or 3 major countries in the world who do not have a official language. And by official, these are sort of a legal language where all documentation, official documentation, signs and so forth, they all have to be. In Canada, there are 2 languages. They're official languages. It's French and English. Sure. But so here in the United States, we don't have an official language.
Canada,
and
Jeff.
maybe we should have an official language. It's a good debate that should be had in the public forum, and our politicians should sort of recognize what the bulk of the people, what the majority of the people want. I don't know that there's a debate going on about this right now, though.
You may be missing the point, which is that we're never going to get an official language pushed through now because the Hispanic lobbyists for the Hispanic community would take offense to it. They would say it's discriminatory, it's racist, and so we're going to run into it.
Forget the internal lobby structure. Most other nations, people from other nations around the world would be up in arms about the United States contemplating having an official language, even though they themselves have official languages. You go to Germany, there's an official language there. You go to Norway, there's an official language there. But they would be upset with the United States if the United States chose to have an official language.
Yeah, it is funny. By the way, Bad Bunny's name, you wonder why he goes by Bad Bunny. Benito Antonio Martinez Ocasio is Bad Bunny's birth name.
It doesn't quite flow off the tongue like Bad Bunny does.
Well, it doesn't fit on the streaming label for streaming, and they're calling him the most popular artist in the world, which is on Spotify, which I guess arguably it would be one of the metrics for. But point of it all is, do yourself a favor. He tried to smugly say, he being Bad Bunny, Benito tried to say God bless America, and then he sort of followed that up with a list of all these foreign entities that. The whole thing smacked of sort of, disingenuine, disrespectful, sort of, a finger in the eye of Middle America. And I don't think Middle America appreciated it. I don't think the NFL either they didn't know or they didn't care. Likely they didn't care.
So I think that most people would not, and I don't want to speak for most Americans. I don't know, but I think most Americans would not find it offensive or objectionable to have one song in a set of songs that was in a foreign language. I don't think the mere existence of a foreign language lyrics would bother people. I think it's that the whole set was done in a foreign language that I think troubled some people.
And but again, that's back to my point. The NFL did that on purpose as an entree in, or a continuation of an entree into the Hispanic market, to that demographic. They're trying to embrace that. So this is their invitation into the NFL. Hey, look, this is a worldwide sport, and they tried to pick something. They knew it was controversial. Look. When they announced Bad Bunny, when they announced Benito was the entertainment for that, people talked about that for weeks and weeks. It was the lead story in the news cycle. They got their end result. The NFL wanted more attention to the event.
There is no such thing as bad publicity. All publicity is good publicity.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's go back.
This attitude that you have right here is why you in Great Britain have lost your culture. You ceded your culture to a bunch of radical Muslims who came in and took over, and now it's gone. We're not allowing that here. Whether it's Hispanic, whether it's Muslim, it's not happening in the United States of America. That's why President Trump was elected. And whether it's Bad Bunny, who is American but refuses to speak English in his performances, or anybody else, we have to keep the Super Bowl, which is a quintessential American event. Football, that kind of football, is ours. They call it American football. And the halftime show and everything around it needs to stay quintessentially American. Not Spanish, not Muslim, not anything other than good old-fashioned American apple pie. There should be a meatloaf, maybe some fried chicken, and an English-speaking performer. That's what the Super Bowl should be.
Okay, two things. One, you've conceded you don't have a national language in the United States officially. And secondly, the language you do want to be your official language is my language. The language of the country you think has gone to pot. So my obvious follow-up is, Megyn, why do you want English as your national language if you think England is gone to hell in a handcart?
Piers, I think
I'm not sure why that would matter. That's kind of irrelevant. If another nation speaks English as their official language, and in England they do have an official language, English. American English is different. There's been enough corruption of the pure English that American English is a distinct form of English. I don't know that really matters.
Look, this is another attempt of Morgan trying to, inject his false UK pride into the equation when there's nothing. It's not appropriate. It doesn't fit. It doesn't even make any sense. It's laughable.
Those medications for your hip have gone too far. We need to dial back a pill or two. Okay. We want something that we can all understand. I don't think Bad Bunny used his appearance to bash America. But I can't be sure because I didn't see any subcaptions on his Spanish language performance.
But what about Pavarotti?
They chose two America haters.
What about Pavarotti, who Donald Trump in 2016 in particular would use at every campaign rally? He's used it at the RNC, right, as a triumphant tub-thumping anthem. Well, no, hang on. Not only Pavarotti.
I've been to lots of Trump rallies. Pavarotti gets a song, maybe
but
two.
He sings. But when he sings Nessun Dorma in Italian, I don't see you leaping up and down going, I can't understand a word of it. You're probably singing along.
I don't remember him being the Super Bowl halftime show, was he?
Well, would you have minded if he was?
Yes, I would have, because We feature English-speaking performers at the quintessentially American event of the Super Bowl. We do Michael Jackson. We do Whitney Houston. We do great bands that love America, like American rap. That's a different situation. This guy who can't stand the country comes out and starts speaking in Spanish, and I'm sure the people in South Florida really enjoyed it. The people in an American territory, Puerto Rico, really enjoyed it. But the people in the heartland had no idea what the hell was happening. This is a guy who loves to parade around in a dress, who again hangs out with Jay-Z and his Epstein-loving pals, who gets up there when he's not bashing America with his pals at Green Day,
Look at Piers'
the
smirk.
far-left People's Republic of California.
He's watching the views click
on Trump, MAGA, half the country, or ICE, and that's something they share with Bad Bunny. That's not representative of what the heartland wants to see. And the heartland always gets the middle finger from people like Jay-Z, like Roger Goodell, who should know better, but he's a panderer who runs the NFL. And
He should know better because Bud Light went through some similar kind of social engineering project recently, and they suffered mightily because of that. And so,
speaking of intoxicating, see, Megyn Kelly, she just nailed it.
But I don't know what's going to happen. I obviously don't know if there's going to be repercussions, or this is the end of the season, so it's done, right? So, but we don't know until next season. It may be out of sight, out of mind. And so most people may not even remember or recall this episode next year, but they do run the risk of having damaged the NFL brand because of this choice.
probably closer to 10 million people turning the channel and turning to the Turning Point event, which was pro-American, which was absolutely beautiful, which had several references to God and faith and this country, which had a tribute to Charlie Kirk at the end of it, and talked about Jesus and how he can change your life. That's what America's all about. We are founded as a Christian nation. We're still a Christian nation. And what we want is somebody up there to celebrate how freaking special this country is, not a bunch of people who can't stand us.
Whether you think that, you know, her diatribe, her attacks were legitimate or not, here's a person who at least I think is going to be representative of other Americans, and she's going to be speaking for a large number of Americans. And if this is her position, if she was this offended by it, then there are clearly, and maybe all of her viewers, many of her viewers, many of other people out there are going to also be offended by it. And there's no point in being offensive. It's just provocative to be provocative.
Yeah, what happened with him? He's going to wear a dress. He caused a big stir. I'm definitely wearing a dress, and there's a designer who was going to come up with a dress.
I don't care if he wears a dress or not. That's
not a question
to me
whether
irrelevant.
I don't care whether he wears a dress either. The question, though, is did they put that out to strike people's ire and to whip everybody into a lather about it? And it's all about provoking and about trying to rise above the din in the media circus. That's
in many ways, I think about this much in the way, a young teen, starting to break out away from the family a little bit, kind of rebels against the family. It's kind of analogous to that. And so if this is something that the NFL was trying to do, maybe Bad Bunny has tapped into something, and that many of his viewers, his viewership is very young, maybe they feel some sort of allegiance, or they feel some sort of guidance by this breaking away and this rebelling against the parent, and so that may be what he's tapping into. I don't know. It seems like somebody is making money because of having Bad Bunny out there and having Bad Bunny behave in this way. Sure. NFL's making money. Jay-Z's making money. Bad Bunny's making money. If his audience is happy.
And we're talking about it.
And we're talking about it now. Megyn Kelly's talking about it. So is Piers Morgan. So that's all we've got today. Thank you for joining us. Please like and subscribe. Let us know what your thoughts are. Did you like the Super Bowl halftime? I personally watched it, and I didn't think it was great. Not as great as Piers Morgan. What do you think? What are your thoughts? Please let us know in our comments.